you rightly said about the intercession aspect, it is an important aspect of prayer. And it's an aspect which brings us out of ourselves, interceding on behalf of others in that sense. But talking to God is only one part of the equation. Like if you look at your own relationship with your wife, for example, if you did all the talking and she didn't get a chance to talk to you,
yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't be much of a relationship.
that's
In
true.
fact, they do say that a man uses 10,000 words a day, whereas a woman uses 20,000 words a day.
Yeah.
How true it is. So they say that if a woman is at home, and the husband has been out working, he's used up all his 10,000 words. When he comes home, the last thing he wants to do is talk, but she's got her 20,000 words ready for him when he comes home. I don't know how true that is, but the point I'm trying to make is that prayer is obviously about talking and communicating to God, but equally, or more importantly, it is also about listening to what God wants to say to you. So understanding prayer as listening is a very different perspective on prayer. In any relationship, listening is very important.
It is, because that particular, most definitely, because with that listening, in order to be open to that listening to God, you kind of have to be open to the surrender of allowing God to lead you wherever he wants to go, even if it's maybe somewhere where you don't want to, you don't want to. Like, for example, I remember, so I spent a little bit of time, about 3 years in seminary, but the hardest decision I ever had to make was leaving the seminary. But I remember even before I was entering it, for years and years, I was running from it. And I was doing deals with God and trying to say, look, let me finish my degree. And then I look at it and I finished my degree. And then all of a sudden I was running left, right, and center. And I was constantly running. I was only thinking of this over the weekend. I was running really from what God was going to lead me to. And my fear was that my life was over, because if I go become a priest, well, that's my life over, kind of a thing. But I wasn't really allowing God. I wasn't listening to God. I was doing everything to distract myself, to push him away. And by doing that, I was trying to take control of the situation. But by listening, you do have to. It's a surrender, because you're now you're literally handing the reins over to God, and you know, open yourself to. Now you still have to make a decision afterwards. Are you going to follow where he's asking you to go? But there is that kind of surrender in listening.
There is, absolutely. And I came across a phrase which really struck me very forcefully. And I often think about it in relation to prayer, or in relation to even relationships with people. Do you listen to reply, or do you listen to understand?
Yeah.
And it's very different, because if you listen to reply, you already have in your mind what you want to say. So you're actually only half listening to the person when they're talking.
Yeah.
You can see that in relationships very easily. And it's the same with God. Sometimes even with God, we want God to follow our way, or to give us the answer that we expect. Like when you pray to God and when you listen to God, you actually have to give God the freedom to say no.
Yeah.
You actually have to give him the freedom to actually lead you in a different way to what you actually expect. And the difficulty about listening to understand is that you're always changed by that listening.
Yeah.
Because you have to let go of your ideas and your thoughts. And you've got to then embrace something different to what you were thinking in order to understand the other person, or God as well too. And my experience has been in prayer, again and again and again, my experience has been that sometimes I'm caught up in my ideas and my thoughts, even about God. And God has difficulty breaking in and breaking through to actually reveal who he really is. Whether we realize it or not, in our relationships, we learn from a very early age to defend ourselves or to protect ourselves. So we put up defenses very quickly. And we begin to operate in that way, even in relationships with people. And it becomes second nature, so we think that's who we are. And those defenses we have in our relations with other people are still there. in our relationship with God. And sometimes, I know from my own experience, God has difficulty to break down and break through those defenses. And I know when he's done it is when I've suddenly discovered something different to what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Or he's revealed something new about himself to me in and through the prayer. So it has taught me a very important lesson. I remember, I think it was about 2 years ago, I was defrosting the bottom part of the freezer at home.
Yeah.
And like, it was such a job. It hadn't been done in a long time. So I was trying a carving knife, which wasn't a very good thing to do, and it didn't really work. Then I tried to get some hot water. I threw that in, which helped, but it still was long. Then I got the hair dryer. I was trying that. And the more I tried to do it, I had to leave it eventually and wait. And it took about 3 days for it eventually all to be defrosted. And sometimes God uses the carving knife. Sometimes he uses the hair dryer. Sometimes he uses the hot water. But often he waits.
Yeah.
And he waits. Because our defenses are in place for a purpose.
Yeah.
They are there because we need to protect ourselves. And we can even be protecting ourselves from God, whom we don't need to protect ourselves from, but without realizing it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We protect ourselves from God. Therefore, prayer is dangerous.
Yeah.
Prayer is dangerous because there is no way of entering, as is a relationship. There is no way of entering into a relationship, our relation with God in prayer, without beginning to dismantle the defenses you have in place and become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because prayer brings us into intimacy with God.
Yeah.
You can only have intimacy when the defenses are no longer there and you're vulnerable.
If you liked what you just saw and would like to see the full interview, click on the Watch More box above, or else click on the link in the description box below. Make sure to also click on the subscribe button above so as to receive more regular content. Thank you.